Well, times are tough for Fnatic right now. They're down a game even here, and they have called upon Moon. But before we see that next game, we are going to have a quick coach interview here, of course, with Jessica Han, our interviewer.
Let's have a quick look at what J-Ra and the Fnatic coach have to say today. The Prime team actually really stepping it up. There have been a lot of threads on Reddit especially that they started streaming, so they have like a team stream now up on Twitch, I think, and a lot of other things. I think they renewed the shop just recently where you can buy all of the clothes of the Prime team, also the equipment. They've been busy. Alright, so it's actually his first match after becoming the coach of Fnatic. I think it's still pretty new to him. He says he's pretty excited, and Jay really practiced pretty hard for today's match. This seems to be like a little bit Jay's story. He practiced hard. It's a little bit mean, but it's like...
It is a sad story, you know. He got crushed, and that's why he stayed in that game so long.
You know, it's like you leave your job, and then you get your boss evaluating you, and he's like, yeah, he tried hard. It's like mean, but yeah. The problem for Jay really is that he is not able to show the results.
So Gerard is saying if they lose today, they're out of the GSTL, so they prepared a lot for this match. And you know, they are in the same situation, of course, as the Fnatic team. If they lose today, they're out. But since they're so favored, I feel like the pressure is not on them as much as it is on Fnatic.
Yeah, that's true, but on the other hand, we've seen a lot of teams that got a little bit complacent. I mean, IM being all killed, for example, that was crazy.
Now Gerard's mentioning that Bjorn tends to get nervous in matches, even though he's a really strong player. He hopes that he gains some confidence through today's matches. And he's hoping also that, you know, as the first player, he may gain some confidence there and maybe even get an all kill. And it looks like he may be able to do it if he can really continue to keep his level of play up as it was in game number 1. I'd say it's certainly possible.
The other thing for me is always if you have only 5 players on a bench, you know exactly what's coming. You know, the element of surprise is lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, you can calculate more. Okay, I have these guys left, I can play this against him, I know his style. Might be some kind of thing that Bjorn is thinking right now. The Fnatic coach just mentions that Moon last time came out as a second player for the team. And, well, he had a couple of wins. So that's the reason why he actually put Moon in as the second player, even though he seems to be the ace.
네, 알겠습니다. 감사하다고 하네요. 여러분 감사하고 thank you for coming. 자, 마지막 질문이죠. 자, 오늘요 굉장한 중요한 경기입니다. 왜냐면요, 이기면요 4강전에 올라갈 수 있지만 지게 되면 이번 경기 패합니다. 그냥 the end인데요.
It is a very important match because if you win, you actually get the chance to go to the semifinals. And if you lose, you're out of the GSTL. Something that was already mentioned, of course, earlier by Gerard, the Prime coach. So just going to get their thoughts on this.
He just says again that it's his first match as a coach and he really wants to win. He wants to have a good memory in the GSTL. Advancing is of course also really important. He says that even though a few of his players are missing today, he thinks that his team can pull it off.
그때도 약간 저희가 그 전 시즌 우승을 하고 약간 방심을 하고 좀 마음에 좀 여유가 있었던 때라.
Last season we lost in the losers match and we were out of the GSTL. But we were the champions in Las Vegas. So they want to basically repeat that performance, their season 1 performance, and take it. So they weren't quite able to make it to Busan. Maybe this time though they will be able to win. Not if they lose in the losers match again here though.
Yeah. GSTL 첫 방송이신 우리 멋진 김일근 캐스터 나와주세요.
So we are in the next map is going to be Daybreak.
Yeah.
So Moon has chosen Daybreak, an interesting choice, I feel.
Yeah, it's a very, very balanced map. The thing is, with it only being the second map, I expected something differently. I expected, for example, Abyssal City, which is definitely one of the maps where Zerg has an advantage over Terran. Unless the Terran player is able to hide a double proxy play, for example. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see Daybreak here. Not because it's a bad map, but just because I think there are better choices out there for him.
Yeah, it's like he's just putting the cards on the table. Like, I'm going to play a straight-up game against Bjorn. After that basically already happened in game number 1 on a 2-player map. And I think that if Beyond plays similar to how he played last game and just gets an early advantage. Moon might not be able to take him. Moon's known for being more aggressive. He's known for playing actually kind of similarly to what we saw Jay play with fast Muse and putting Banelings around the map, but usually he's more aggressive. It seems like Moon's way of playing that style is more refined. And I don't know, Beyond seemed to do okay against it in game number 1, so maybe Moon is just going to throw a total curveball here. It's kind of surprising, the map choice.
The thing about Moon is you never know exactly what he's going to play. He can play the straight-up game, but he's not afraid to start with an early pool against Terran. He did that several times. And this is actually the map where we already seen players like Linok pull off a win against, for example, Alive with a 6 pool. 6 pool or 7 pool, I actually don't quite remember what exactly when he built this pool, but an early pool nonetheless. So definitely one of the maps where you would expect a macro game, but sometimes that can just be misleading and a player tries to be a little bit more aggressive than he usually would be.
I would not be surprised to see a early pool here because Beyond may be likely to go for Command Serve first again.
I would be disappointed though, because this seems to be the history of Moon in the GSTL a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I always remember this game on Daybreak that he played where he started with the early pool, he got scouted immediately, he was shut down and then he lost the game without even really being able to put up a fight. So I would hope for a macro game here.
Yeah. Anything is possible. Like you said, he's such an unpredictable player. He can play all styles. His macro game is not always his strongest, but he can do that from time to time. Playing against Beyond with that style, though, I feel is risky because Beyond is so good in the late game.
Actually, the thing is, for me, Moon will always be the player that I remember because he has such a great macro game and is able to do this multitasking. These multi-prong attacks on some of the games that he played. I remember in Antigua Shipyard game, Cloud Kingdom game, where he was at 4 positions at once. So it was really impressive. And if he's able to actually just do exactly this again, follow back with what he did in Warcraft 3 and just execute multiple attacks at the same time, I feel that's exactly the style that he needs to use against someone like Beyond Prime. It's not really easy to overwhelm Beyond, but if someone can do it, I feel Moon, on top of his game, would be able to pull it off.
Yeah, he certainly would. Moon, I have to say, this is looking kind of grim for Fnatic if they lose Moon already here. You know, as the coach said earlier, he's considered by many to be the ace. But if he loses here, then Prime just gets another foothold. And like you said, he is just basically picking off people on the bench. He knows every opponent he's going to face today if he gets the all kill. And not only Beyond, but of course Gerard looking at the bench saying, all right, we got 5 players to beat. Already take 2 of them down. Then their options are just so limited.
Well, we find out if Beyond is able to pick up Moon right now. The game is about to start. It is Fnatic against Prime here at the GSTL. Moon up against Beyond. The games are cast today, of course, are called on Wolf. I could hear that hot 6 can roll. I'll join you.
Thanks to Hot 6, of course, for sponsoring this tournament.
Thanks to Hot 6 and, well, thanks to the GSTL, we have now another great game. Starting to the top right of the map, we have the Zerg player for Fnatic. He chose Daybreak against his Terran opponent. It is
Fnatic Lady Call Moon!
And he has made the 9 Overlords, so no early pool.
One of the older players in StarCraft was a very famous Warcraft 3 player. His nickname, the 5th Race, because he was so good in Warcraft 3, which had 4 races, that people said he's kind of out of this world. At the bottom left, we have his opponent, the Terran player for Team Prime. Already took down a Zerg player in game number 1, and he was able to defeat Jay. This Terran is, of course, none other than
Beyond Prime!
He rallied his SCV to the barracks location, and now he's building it. Not going to be going for Command Center first. Against a player like Moon, on a 2-player map, that option just, it feels unsafe, it feels risky, and I think he's just going to go for the 1-Rax expand gasless here.
Moon, on the other hand, one of the things that you guys might know, might not know, depending on how you follow the scene, is that he is married, has a kid.
Yep.
Is one of the Fnatic players that does not stay at the Fnatic house. He's there quite a lot, but trains at home.
Very true. And that drone will get in the main base. You will see the no gas. Very good scout here by Moon.
And with the scout that Moon has, he plays it a bit more greedy. He waited a long time for this pool. Probably just dropping it now. Yep, there it is.
Well, welcome from Germany.
Oh, wow. Countryman.
I have a fellow caster from Germany, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He is a cool guy.
He is?
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah, you probably heard of him.
Okay, you have to tell me all about him later.
Oh, I will. Watch out when you go in the bathroom next to the sink, you might see him.
On the other side. Well, we have the command center now for Bjarne, of course. He's doing exactly what Wolf already mentioned. He goes from barracks straight into a command center. Will most likely start his 2 refineries very soon. Question rather is if he starts to do it before he goes for double barracks or after.
Yeah. Now, I think Bjarne is probably going to play a really similar style to last game. Obviously, he didn't go CC first, so it's a little bit different. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't go 3rd command center before gas. And he's already banking out the minerals. Looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. He hasn't taken gases yet. That Marine is trying so hard to get the Overlord, but you just can't see it.
You're going to actually float the barracks over. That's something we see a lot of times. It's a little bit... I love this map because it's just so fun. By the way, there's a 3rd CC once again. It's so funny to see these Overlord patterns again. Like, you have the Overlord on both of these pedestals once again, and if you would actually use his barracks just to scout it a little bit and get vision on the high ground, he could kill both of them.
Yeah, very true.
That would definitely supply block his opponent. So, as you can see now, going straight into the 3rd CC and then starting with the double refinery. He really relies on this high eco game in the early stages. But as we have now Moon with additional queens, 2 are already in the game, and he wants to go for queen number 3 and number 4, which will allow him to spread the creep a little bit faster. Of course, also great to defend against early pressure, against Hellions, against Banshees.
Yeah, and I think beyond on this map, there's a very easy to take 3rd. And he'll float that command center over when he's ready. He's not ready yet, but he will be once he gets the Hellions out to give him map control. And that's how this build flows. You get some Hellions, you control the map, you stop Ling run bys like we saw last game from Jay. Then once you feel like, all right, my SCP count is high enough and I feel like I have enough control on the map, I know when his 3rd is there, then you float that command center over.
Moon is also taking a 3rd now, and for Moon it will be a little bit more difficult to defend these spaces. What he has to do is to spread his creep very well, most likely relying on a few Zerglings, then with Speedlings to try to just corner the Hellions. But yeah, with the 3 bases that he has, it's sometimes really difficult for a Zerg player to make sure that you don't lose any drones against the harass. It's not only the 3rd base that's a little bit exposed here, but at the same time, if your opponent is able to sneak into the natural and then just splits his Hellion, sends a few into the main, you have a lot of problems at your hand. The queens alone usually are not enough.
Yeah, you have a good variety of defenses set up.
And look at that, Bjarne is actually doing exactly the same thing. Once again, very, very upgrade heavy.
Yeah, he wants to get those eBays out fast. He's basically just said, my style in game number 1 worked out for me. I'm going to repeat it. Obviously, with the opponent being Moon and them being down a game and Moon's history, I'm not going to go CC first. That's a bit too risky. Got his queens in position to keep spreading that creep. Talking about Moon, that is. And now the first Hellions are on the map. He's going to clean up the watchtowers. He wants to see, very importantly, where that 3rd base is, if there's a 3rd base at all. And then he can decide, okay, I think I can move my command center down now. I've got, 6 to 10 Hellions on the map, and that's what I want.
Those double upgrades that we see for Bjarne are, of course, making also his tech a little bit slower than it usually would be.
Look at this, he's attacking the rocks to kill a tumor. That is really smart. Really well done there. That's, you can attack your own Hellion to do that, but attacking the rocks is a safer way. That's really smart.
Yeah, really well done. 4 barracks that he's building now. Bjarne is really going for this heavy Marine, heavily upgraded Marine Bioforce, and he's delaying his starport for it.
Yeah, he did this last game as well. He was so medevac low, but you sink a lot of minerals into this. When you have the 3rd mule with that 3rd command center, you have the money to make the barracks, you have the money to keep making those Hellions, and it looks like he is finally stopping now at just 6 Hellions this time. Nope, starts 2 more actually.
Yeah, and we have him also with the Armory, which lines up really, really well with the +1/+1 attack upgrade. He can start +2/+2 immediately and just tries to get in with the Hellions. But now we have this creep spread. This is what we talked about earlier. With the creep that is already spread by Moon, now he's in a position where he can make sure that the Hellions have a tough time. If those Hellions go on to creep, Zerglings will get a speed advantage and then can easily surround the Hellions. So Björn is very careful here. He does not want to overcommit.
Yeah, he's got to be so careful with those Hellions, because that's the reason why he can hold this third base that he's moving down right now, is that he has that map presence with the Hellions where he can clean up the watchtowers, he can see pushes coming. It's oh so important. You know, a situation like what happened last game could have really hurt Björn had he not had those Hellions in position.
And now Moon is actually going for a huge amount of Zerglings. He really wants to get a lot of Lings out there, not only to be able to defend, but I feel like with the number that he's currently building, he wants to put on some aggression or at least try to catch these Hellions off guard.
He's going to start, there it is, the Spire very soon here. And actually, what we're seeing from Moon is also very similar to what we saw from Jay last game, where he made a ton of Banelings.
Yeah.
But Moon, I feel, will execute this a little bit better. He'll put the pressure on with those units rather than waiting so long. Losing those Lings last game certainly hurt Jay. And Moon is actually sending that same wave of Lings actually around the side, but this time they're not spotted by the Hellions, and he's actually moving out with his Marines. If he goes to the third base, there could be a ton of damage done.
I really like how upgrade heavy both of these players are. Uh-oh, there's the Stim and the Zerglings. They try to retreat, but I feel the Hellions could catch them off guard.
He should send the Hellions to catch them.
Yeah, he's trying to. He's trying to control the Zelnaga Watchtower so that he sees them immediately. And without them being in the range of the Watchtower, Björn knows that they're heading for the third.
Yep. This is all about map control and vision. And look at this. The Lings that come onto the Watchtower are spotted and easily roasted. And now he can actually catch these Lings on the way back with the Hellions as well. Will he do it? I think Moon realizes, like, wait a minute, this isn't actually an intelligent choice for me to make. I need to try to avoid this army. Look at this. He's actually just walking across the map with his soon-to-be 2/2 Marines. The Marines actually trap the Lings in between the Hellions, and the second wave of Lings actually will not want to fight against this.
This is too much. He takes down a few of them, but in the end he loses way too many Zerglings already. And I love how Björn actually executes this. Once again, the Medivacs very late in the game, just now producing number 3 and 4, but going for the siege tanks and all these upgrades. Moon is playing it a lot more Mutalisk heavy than Jay did, though.
16 Mutas!
Yeah, and
all at once. That's all of his gas. He's not going to be able to make a lot of Banelings after this. A nice pickup to save those Marines. Björn really knows what he's doing with this strategy. Well practiced for sure.
But I feel that this is definitely a timing where Moon can do a lot of damage. He's taking a 4th base, and so far Björn does not really know that there are this many Mutalisks. So if Moon hits,
he will hit hard.
Yeah, he hits. Definitely. If he hits, he's gonna hit hard, and there's not a single Thor in the game. So he will have to rely on the Marines, and then it's this battle between Banelings with speed against Marines, and when the Marines are gone, the Mutalisks take down everything. The tanks.
This is exactly what we were talking about last game, where Jay made all these Banelings, made all the Mutas, but he wasn't able to execute that attack. Björn needs to be at his third base when this happens, or he is going to lose it. And I don't think he has enough units there. Not even close.
The big problem is he doesn't have siege tanks there.
Yeah.
He needs siege tanks against the Banelings, and now we only have 3 siege tanks and not even siege. Oh, well, there's one siege
of them. This is not going to be enough. He's going to lose a lot here. The Banelings need to be controlled well, though.
He should try to snipe the tanks, and that's exactly what he does. And now the SCVs are exposed. Everything's exposed here. The command center is being attacked by the Mutalisks, and there's so many of them. The Marines are about to die. He cannot just engage. Most of them are already down in the red, and the Mutalisks just take apart everything.
Yeah, this is a great position now for Moon, actually. He's going to be able to kill the SCVs and the command center, potentially. The rest of the Marines were not stimmed. Now they're coming in here. Moon does not want to lose these Mutas, though.
No, he always overcommitting here. I don't think he realized that the reinforcements already streamed in. He lost way too many Mutalisks just now. And there's still a force in his main base.
Yeah, he was so preoccupied with that drop that I guess he lost his Mutalisk there.
Björn is just showing that his multitasking is excellent, and even Moon today cannot keep up with that. He's trying to defend here, but losing all these Mutalisks was a big, big issue.
Look at this position on the Marines.
The Medivac survives.
Oh, wow. This is terrible. He's losing more drones at his third base. The Marines are still alive at the natural.
Yeah, there's so many Marines. These drops do so much damage. They occupy Moon, they do damage, they kill Harvesters. He took down 25 Harvesters already. Well, Moon is making up for that by building it down on 19.
Well, that's 19 more larvae, though he can't be used on anything else. You know, this is not a good situation for him. Beyond is actually moving across the map with his heavily upgraded units.
Oh, once again, the Mutalisks, no! Oh, he loses 4, he loses 5. Way too much.
And
these
this hatchery
Marines are so strong.
This hatchery doesn't stand a chance. Right now, Bjorn is actually taking Moon like a peanut, just opening him up and eating him. He has essentially taken him apart from multiple angles. He's dissecting him. Moon, it may be an alien from outer space, but I think Bjorn knows everything about him right now.
I definitely know who's doing the autopsy today.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Look at that, 70 supply ahead. Moon with the last stand, moving in the siege tanks. They are down, but they're just way too many forces. Yes, maybe Moon is able to kill this army, but look at the minimap, the reinforcements, they are already on their way, and I think this is too much for Moon to handle.
Yeah, it certainly is. Losing the Mutalisks really gave the control away to Bjorn, and now he's just walking across the map and dismantling him. Moon is down 60 supply.
And once again, he loses Mutalisks. He loses way too many. Usually you use them to circle around the Terran army, to cut off a few reinforcements, take down a siege tank, take down a medivac. All these things didn't happen. He only fought against Marines.
Yep, and the Queen dies down here, but he doesn't have enough. The Banelings rolling in. They're targeted by the siege tanks, and the last Banelings go off. The hit is decent, but not enough, and now with the 100 supply lead, Bjorn is going to force the GG here.
He definitely will. He's moving into the natural right now. He wants to take down the second base, and that's exactly what he does. 170 supply against 66. Moon with the tech to Hive, but that's way too late. No Brood Lords are going to save him this game. It's just not going to happen. He's losing everything here, and he will have to GG. He's down to 30 supply right now, and even with 28 Zerglings that he's producing at this point in time, it's not going to end well.
No, it's definitely not. The hatchery is gone. The tech is all gone. GG.
Bjorn pulls a Britney Spears. He's all like, oops, I did it again, and takes down the second Zerg player.
And now, the one thing that Bjorn is hoping for is they send out another Zerg who does the same strategy, and he just takes him out again. Because we saw even with Moon, the person who executed that aggression so much better than Jay, he still couldn't do what he wanted. It was very clear from the start, he picked Daybreak, he wanted to hit that attack at the third base, but losing his Mutalisks there made it so that Bjorn could drop everywhere, and he no longer had the foothold on the game. Bjorn was no longer scared, he just put his third command center back where it belonged. Fnatic is in dire straits right now, and I think it's time, it may be time for Alive to come out here.
You don't want to send in another Zerg player at this point in time, and if it's one of the Terran players, I feel it's rather going to be Alive than Rain. But, well, we might be wrong here. Rain is one of the players who is very strong, especially at sniping players. Not quite sure for whom he was prepared. But it's not only about Bjorn. You also have, like, Creator on the bench. He is the champion from WCS Korea. You have also Marine King.
Yeah. It's a stacked lineup of players.
Yeah.
What if Terius comes out even? I mean, you know, he's not the best player, but it's like they have so many players on the bench and so many different race choices to come with. Obviously, they don't have very many processes, but they have 2. You multiply a number of Fnatic processes by infinity, you still have more processes on the other bench. That's the situation that they're faced with right now.
Yeah, the question is really who are they going to send out and which map is it going to be. We have now Bjorn with 2 wins for his team already. It doesn't look like Zerg can hold a candle to him today. And that's the reason why I think we don't see Bjorn. Even though Bjorn, for me, is the strongest Zerg player on the lineup right now, I feel like I don't think it's going to be him. Oh, Rain already smiling to the top right, Alive to the top left. It's going to be Rain. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Rain.
You can always tell if Rain is next player. If you see the bench and suddenly there's this big smirk on his face, you know that Rain will stand up.
Yep, he's known for picking players off, and we'll see if he can start a trend, because if he doesn't, he's not going to be able to get his team back into a tie score situation. He needs to get more than one, but he's designed to kill strong players with all-in attacks.
Do you feel like we should have a best of 7, a best of 9, or a best of 11 between Rain and Rain to determine who is allowed to keep the nickname?
I think so sometimes, man. It can be a little bit tricky with all these mirror names.
Yeah.
Hero, for example.
Will the real Rain please stand up?
Yeah.
Well, now we have at least a player who called himself Rain first.
Yes, this is true.
And we also have a Rainbow.
We do. We have Into the Rainbow even. You know, I
going old school here.
I miss some of those old times with Hope Torture as the idea of Rainbow, but oh, those were the days, man. Back then, I remember all those open season matches.
Wolf, you're getting old.
Getting old, man. I'm just like, wow. I remember Ensnare.
Oh yeah, and Snare.
Yeah, man.
Good times.
He was good at Fastest Fan in TVT. He showed people how to do it. He once insulted me on the ladder. But we'll see what Rain's got up his sleeve here. Rain versus Inca, man, that was a sick game back in the day as well with the DTs. Inca came back, Rain had a huge lead.
It actually made me sad the other day. I looked up a couple of songs that I really love, like older songs, and I stumbled across Guns N' Roses, again, one of my favorite bands of all time. And I listened on YouTube to November Rain, and when I read the title, I actually thought about StarCraft, and I just looked at him like, what is wrong with you, Carlo? What is wrong with you?
Well, basically you were thinking about, I don't know.
There's too much rain these days.
Yeah, and it's been pretty sunny even outside, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was actually raining the day that he won the OSL, which is kind of an ironic twist. Now the map here is Ohana, so fear not, despite the fact that it is out of the GSL pool, and the last time we saw it was up and down, it's still in GSTL, maybe here to stay. It's not been announced what's going to happen next season.
Yep, so far we don't have a clue. At TVT, and Rain is, I don't know, he's a little bit like Moon. He can play the cheesy game, he can play the macro game, he's known for all ins. What's he gonna do today? We're gonna find out in the first Terran Mirror match here at the GSTL. Fnatic up against the Prime team, they are in trouble. Will Rain be the player who does change it all?